What is up? It is September 29th. Hello, everybody. Hello, Brett.
Notch.
We're back. It is fall season, as has been declared by Weezer.
SZNZ.
SZNZ. All the cool kids are taking the vowels out of their names. We're going to change
Shout
this
out
to
Parco.
General Admission.
And Missins.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll just replace all the vowels with Z's and we'll see how that goes.
Jins and Missins.
So we've had a week.
You've had a week for sure.
I finally saw My Chemical Romance. Well,
Are
I
you
saw them a
okay?
long time ago, but I'm not okay. I promise. And I'll tell you why I'm not okay.
Uh-oh.
No, I'm okay.
Okay.
I'm okay now.
I was gonna say I did see they played a lot of Danger Days, so maybe that's why you're not okay.
Yeah. I'll just get this out of the way first because I want to sing their praises, but at the same time, I always want to be honest.
You can start with the bad, if there is bad.
The first night was just so much better. I wasn't there the first night, so I was a little bummed, but not very bummed. But just if I were to look at the two set lists, the first night was definitely a little more my speed. They were amazing though. Midtown opened. We'll talk about Midtown real quick. Midtown was really good. These guys, they haven't been a band in over a decade, at least, maybe 15
Like
years.
mid-2000s, right?
And I think they were one of the bands that took My Chem out on one of My Chem's first tours. And I think Thursday was also a band that did that, which is why My Chem is rounding up these bands to now open for them, which is super cool. And the guitarist was saying how Mikey Way just like basically called him up and he's like, yo, you guys should get back together and open for us at
It was that
Prudential
simple.
Center. Yeah. And like they talked about it. They all have like jobs and stuff. They're like, my kids like think I'm a dork, but now like I'm in a band about to open for like My Chem at a huge venue. They don't know what to think now. Like it had to be so like surreal for those guys to just like pick it back up just like that and play in front of this huge crowd. And
I hope we get them on.
yeah, that would be really cool. Fellow Jersey guys. They told a story which I thought was really interesting, and I've done zero digging to fact check any of this, but the lead singer was explaining what I just told you, how they got back on the road and got back together to do these shows. He's like, we were talking and we were thinking like, what's a song we could play that everyone and their mother is going to know and it would be a lot of fun. He's like, so we're going to play a song that was written by our guitarist and stolen from us. He's like, do you want to tell the story? And the guitarist goes, no, let's just play the fucking song. And they played When You Were Young by the Killers. Yeah. So what?
Were they being serious?
They sounded serious. But I have no idea. So I don't know. Maybe if we get them on, we can get details on that if it's real. Because he asked him if he wanted to tell the story, and he's like, let's just play the song. I don't know.
That is crazy
It
if it's
seems like
true.
a weird fake story to like lie about, but I have no idea. Oh, very curious what's the deal with that. But yeah, then they played it and then they played up to like the bridge and then they just went into one of their own songs. But they were great. They all sing in that band other than the drummer.
I didn't know that. I thought they just had one singer.
No, all three of them. I think their bass player is like the primary singer, I'd say, but all three of them sang. There were songs where they all sang at the same time. They had solid stage presence, like jumping around, singing. Bass player kept doing bass spins, so that was cool. Love a good bass spin. Seems like a dangerous game though. If someone's too close to you, you're knocking a tooth out of your guitar player.
Yeah, you're in trouble.
Real quick. Yeah,
I was watching their videos of them at Riot Fest, though, and they look like they put on an incredible live show.
Yeah, it really was. And I would love to see them when the whole crowd is there for them, because I bet it would be like 10 times better. because they can feed off that energy. Whereas like the My Chem show, even being in New Jersey, I'm willing to bet like majority of people weren't like super familiar with them. But they were great. My Chem My Chem came out. There was maybe like 25 minutes of just really loud like helicopter noises blaring out the speakers before they actually came out.
No music, just helicopter noise.
Just loud like helicopter. I thought it sounded like a helicopter, but it could be like speakers humming. Like it was just a really loud noise. It was, and it went through the whole show, like not while they were playing songs, but they didn't let a moment of silence happen at all. And they filled it with that like helicopter sounding noise, which was very interesting. I didn't mind it because I thought it was just kind of cool, but my one friend is not about it. It was definitely like a very
Is he
jarring
freaking
noise.
out?
A little bit. He's like, they have to stop this. This is driving me crazy. Whatever. But yeah, they were great. They played they played a lot off their first album, Bullets, which was really cool.
That's the one I've never heard before, actually.
It's a great album. It's very raw. But it's really solid. Hold on one second. I had to sneeze. I lost it. I muted my mic. I'll leave that in. Um, they played a lot off that, which I read online that they didn't really play that album at their other shows, but they played it in New Jersey, I guess, because it was a hometown show. But I didn't actually look up set lists to confirm if that was true. But it sounds pretty cool, so I'm just gonna go with it.
I think that's accurate. Though I think they played 4 or 5 songs off it, which they weren't doing at other dates on the tour.
Yeah, they played let's see. They did Vampires Will Never Hurt You, because that's the big one. They did one called Our Lady of Sorrows, which was really heavy. That's the one I put on our Instagram if you happen to see that one. Like Gerard Way can scream really well,
He
which
did
I
the screams on Jet Black for that Thursday song. I never knew that was him on it.
no, me either. And he came out with them, which I know you know, because you told me, but he came out with them for that the first night.
Sick video.
Yeah.
He,
How cool do you have to be as a front man to come out before your band even goes on and just perform a song?
pretty awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, that's just a level of cool. Like you're not, there's no like, oh, I'm the star. I'm not going out till it's my time. Like, nope, just went out, kicked ass, and then went back behind stage. Um, yeah, we didn't get too much off Three Cheers, which I was a little disappointed about. We got It's Not a Fashion Statement, It's a Fucking Death Wish, which was cool. We got Helena, which you expect, so that was cool, but like that's not really a surprise. I'm Not Okay, again, one you expect. And I'm pretty sure like that was it. And then Black Parade, they did play House of Wolves, which was kind of like a cool deep cut. Mama was by far the best song of the night. It got like,
That's Danger Days, right? Or is that no? That's Black
no,
Parade.
that's Black Parade, and it gets so like dark and like waltzy in the verses, and then it just punches back in. I love that song. Like that song alone made the whole night worth it. So that was really cool. They closed with My Way, which is like a Frank Sinatra cover. It's like that's okay. I don't know. Just I want to hear your songs.
It's a
So I
that
feel
was
like
that closed everything, or that was the closer before the encore.
no, that closed everything. That closed the whole show.
That is a choice.
Yeah. So like the first night technically got like an extra song if you really break it down. Um but the first night they played Give 'em Hell Kid and I Never Told You What I Do for a Living back to back, which is the first night
I love those two.
they lumped albums together a little more, which I thought was cool. They did I'm Not Okay, Give 'em Hell Kid, Never Told You What I Do for a Living, and Cemetery Drive all in a row, which is awesome. And then they did Famous Last Words, Teenager's Mama in a row. They also played Thank You for the Venom, which is one of my favorite songs by them. The Ghost of You. The first night was just a little bit better, but when you hold tickets for 3 years, your expectations are going to be pretty high. So I'm not I'm not really like upset, but definitely a little disappointed that I didn't go the first night. But they crushed it. Ray Toro, they're one of their guitar players. He like carries the band. Obviously, Gerard Way is Gerard Way, and he's essential. Like I just never realized. I realized because their guitars are awesome. It's not like a surprise, but just seeing him do it was just really cool. He shreds, and it just like adds this layer of heaviness to their songs. They're just a
That's
really
not the
good
one with the other
band.
band. That's another band member.
No, that's Frank Iero.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah, he is also very good, but Ray Toro seemed like more of like the solo
The
guy.
boss.
Yeah, he had long hair and like
Do you have the afro back in the day
probably, probably. But I'm
from
not.
like the I'm Not Okay video? I'm thinking of.
Yeah, yeah, I think so, but I'm not sure. Ray Toro back in the day. Um,
Is it confirmed?
yeah,
There we go.
confirmed. It's more of like a mop than an afro, but it's definitely a big head of hair. Yeah, it was a great time. Um, it was so fun. I love that they're switching up their set list every night. I mean, I love and don't love it at the same time, but
They pulled the fish.
yeah, as a band, like I respect them for it because I just think that's super cool. I would definitely see them again, and I hope I get to.
I hope they drop a new album soon.
Yeah, well, they were selling merch that said Decay on it, which is their singles, The Foundations of Decay. So like I feel like if you're selling merch with words from the song on it, that maybe there's gonna be an album attached to it.
Hopefully.
Oh, also I want to talk about their stage setup real quick. Behind them, they just had like broken down like towers. And I don't know if it was a direct nod to like the World Trade Center or not, because they do sing about that in their new song. And like that's a big part of how they became a band. But either way, it was just like this like deserted looking like city of like a mess behind them. It was quite the visuals.
It was a Decay.
It was pretty sick. Yeah. Yes. Yeah,
With
that
no foundations.
exactly. Well, the foundations seem to
Oh
be
no, they
there.
were there. Yeah.
It was just decayed foundations. No, they were great. I'm glad I got to see him. I saw him at Bamboozle a long, long time ago, but it was before I like loved them like I do now. Like I knew like Helena and I'm Not Okay, and like the Black Parade had just came out. So I didn't know. I didn't know what I was watching at the time.
Did you see them when they toured with Blink, like the Honda Civic tour in like 2010? I want to
Uh
say 2011.
was
Like right around when Danger Days came out.
Yes, I did, but we
That
we
was the one you blacked out for.
yeah. We tried to rush the stage from the lawn of PNC. It was the last song. We tried to rush the stage, and I just
It
my
did not
hand.
work.
No, my friend got kind of far. I tried to jump the fence. My finger got stuck in the fence, ripped the nail off. I just like
Ooh.
fell directly over. Security didn't even kick me out. They just put me back on. They're like, "You're an idiot. The show's over in a song, so whatever."
Yeah. At least
Good
they didn't throw you out though.
times. Yeah. Yeah. So I did see them then. I just don't remember. Not my
Fair enough.
proudest show, but I was told I had a great time. So we all had a great time. So I'll take it. Yeah.
Yeah, that was the only
Hopefully
time
on
I've
the
seen
tour.
them, but I want to see them again someday.
Yeah. You got to see them on like their own show to really,
Appreciate it.
yeah. We have a new album this week.
We do.
The Wonder
Other
Years.
than the one we talk about with Parco shortly.
Yes. Yeah. We have two, but we have Nick on to talk Weezer in a little bit. But the Wonder Years, the hum goes on forever. Brett, I'll let you talk about this a little bit because I know you know more about the Wonder Years than I do. If I understand correctly, it's been a little bit since they've put out an album.
I believe it's been since 2018 with Sister Cities. That was the last album because he's been pretty busy with doing the Aaron West side project in recent years, but I'm glad they're finally back now. And so this one was really hyped up since like the spring. Like people online were calling it their best album since The Greatest Generation. So I kind of knew that going into this, and I had really high hopes for it. And when I played it, it somehow surpassed that. Like I can't believe how good this is. Like this
Wow.
is like I remember like Sister Cities didn't really sit with me for too long. I think I would listen to it for like maybe a couple of months, and I like love the Wonder Years, but that one didn't really have staying power with me.
Yeah.
This one, it really is as good at like just on that level of The Greatest Generation. Like it's great track 1 through 12. They try some different things here, but it works and feels very Wonder Year still. Where like when they experimented on Sister Cities, it might have felt a little. I feel like that was like just like a very dark album and kind of slower than what you're used to. But this just felt like a Wonder Years album, and like lyrically, like there's no bullshitting with it. Like you know
No,
exactly what he's talking about, and
it's
it's easy
heavy.
to understand. Like you don't have to read into the lyrics. You know when you listen to him, but it's really heavy, which
Yeah.
is surprising because I was thinking it'd be like a lighter album because he's like a father now and everything. But
Heavy content lyrically, not
yeah,
musically. I mean, it has moments musically, but
there's some good breakdowns here,
the
some
lyrical
and
content
bridges.
is intense.
Oh
like
yeah, Door
like
I Painted Shut, Songs About Death. Like those are two if you want to kind of get the
yeah,
vibe we're talking about. Even Cardinals too, which is a
yeah,
nice, awesome sequel to Cardinals back from. Is it Cardinals the album? I think it is.
yeah.
But yeah,
It's I remember um I said a few weeks ago when we were
No
talking
Closer
about
to Heaven. Sorry, that's the album. Cardinals was
okay,
on No Closer to Heaven. There you go.
gotcha. When we were talking about tiny moving parts, I was saying how the lyrics talked about difficult stuff, but they always had that like they always ended on a positive note. These songs do not end on a positive note,
No,
but the album as a whole kind of ends with some hope, which I think um
I love that last song.
yeah,
You're the reason I don't want the world to end.
it saved it for me as far as like replayability. Like I think it's a fantastic album. I think they did a really good job, but it's not something I'm just gonna like throw on and listen to because the lyrical content is it it makes me depressed. like this I'm worried about Dan Campbell. Like these songs are all about death and like despair and I guess about does he have kids?
He
'Cause
does. Two
there's
boys.
Wyatt's
Yep.
song.
That's one of his sons.
Yeah,
No daughter though, but the oldest daughter is phenomenal.
yeah. That chorus is one of my favorites. It's so catchy.
They nailed the singles on this. Like you know how I feel about singles, but
Yeah,
like they picked the perfect songs to be singles off this, like, leading up to it, which I feel like not many bands do, but they did. Even they put a ballad out there with Summer Clothes, but Oldest Daughter, Wyatt's song, and Low Tide, like those are three of the best songs on the album, and it really kind of lets the listener know what they're in for, even though a lot of the darker moments aren't on those singles. But
yeah. I keep making lists to tell my therapist of reasons I wish I didn't exist.
yeah, that
Holy
was
shit, man. That that was crazy. But that had also one of my favorite lines. I'm growing out my hair because who gives a shit?
that was like a pandemic song, right? That's where
Yeah,
that
because he
came
talked
from.
about like
Yeah,
fog on his glasses and stuff. That's gotta be
wearing
a
a mask.
pandemic
Yeah,
song. Yeah. But
and like
yeah,
Lauren the Beehive too.
yeah.
Where
That one
it's like a
that
friend
one
being
like
concerned about his lyrics, and it's like
yeah.
a whole album full of songs like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, it's like 45 minutes of death and despair. And then one song he's just like, I just called to let you know that I'm all right no matter what. And I'm like, are you? But that song is absolutely incredible. Like you can hear like the pain in his voice and like just the emotion coming through. Like I could almost picture him standing in front of the mic in the studio singing this.
and like crying almost.
Yeah,
Like it's the here,
dude,
yeah.
for real. And like, especially with like the pop punk genre, like usually um like instrumentals kind of take front and center, and then the lyrics are just like whatever, like another like part of the song. But with this album, I really felt like the lyrics were front and center, and the instrumentals were something to accompany it. And the instrumentals were great. Like
They're very
the
good on this one.
yeah, but I was so caught up on the lyrics that I didn't like. I have to listen to this more just to like give the instrumentals like their due justice. But it it was a fantastic album. Like you want to talk about a band that's sincere and authentic, like you got it. This is
They're hard on both sleeves, I would say.
yeah,
Not on one sleeve.
yeah. I wonder what the other guys in the band like. They're coming up with like these great guitar, bass, drum parts and stuff, and like hearing like Dan Campbell sing this stuff, like what's going through their head? Like, uh,
And they do some of the background vocals too. Like
yeah,
the
Lost
bass
in the
player
Lights.
screams on
Oh
Old
yeah,
Friends Like Lost Teeth. That
yeah.
one.
He's like growling on it. That one's so cool. I was gonna ask you actually who was doing that because it definitely doesn't sound like the the lead, the
He's
main
like this
guy.
massive guy too. So like it's awesome when
Oh,
they're
it's super
live and doing
cool.
it.
And Lost in the Lights when he's like, I was 17, and then there's like this nice like backup part. Like, yeah, I'm not singing very well, but I just love like
You're doing fine.
thanks. I just love good backup vocals. And Paris of Nowhere had a really nice like punchy bass line. Like the bass wasn't doing anything crazy, but the tone on it was just so good. You could really just hear it like coming through.
Crunchy.
Yeah. Yeah. But man, heavy, heavy lyrical content.
I will say though, like this is exactly who the Wonder Years are though. Like they've always had very heavy themes on their albums. Like Greatest Generation, like depression is pretty much the main theme of that album. Like Devil in My Bloodstream is like his grandfather was depressed and he feels like that was passed on to him. And the whole album is him kind of like dealing with that and finding ways to be okay. And that's why they've grown like this huge fan base because people like deal with kind of depression, anxiety by listening to their music. And it kind of creates a very special bond and why they have a really passionate following.
That makes a lot of sense. I always listen to them, but not to the extent I didn't listen to them like I listened to this album because we listen to albums now to talk about them. And yeah, I learned something that all their songs are kind of like this. Because I remember like Passing Through a Screen Door, like obviously that's like a huge song. But he's talking about like how like all his friends are growing up and getting married and having
Yep.
kids. Like, did I fuck up? Whatever. And now he has an album about having kids and how worried he is that like he's gonna mess that up. And it just like kind of brought it full circle for me as like a casual fan.
It's like those feelings don't go away, but like you find different ways to kind of cope with it. And I think that's what he's working through in this one.
Yeah, he's definitely getting um like therapy through his music for sure. Like he's working stuff out in these songs and you can hear it.
Also, a very underrated singer too. I know we kind of talked about his vocals before, but like he has some serious range on this one, as we kind of touched on with Laura and the Beehive. But he's got some pipes on him, Dan Campbell.
Yeah. Yeah, he's got like a unique voice too. Like it's him the second you hear him.
You know it's the Wonder Years. Yep.
Yeah. But yeah,
Or Aaron
overall
West if
like
you like his side project.
overall like fantastic album.
One of
Really
the
good.
best of the year, I'd say.
Yeah,
It would be in
it's
my top five, I'd say.
nice. I really enjoyed it. I just I don't know that it'll get I'll keep listening to it, but it's not an album that I would just listen to any time of day over and over.
You're not pre-gaming to it.
No, definitely not. I might be pre-gaming like a never mind. Yeah, we because I remember like me and Nicole were going out last Friday, just like gonna get dinner or something. And I knew we were gonna talk about this album. So I'm like, oh, I'll just throw it on in the car. And I'm listening. I'm like, oh,
The
maybe.
first song kind of, it's like, nope, I'll listen to this later.
Yeah. I'm like, let me just put on Weezer and listen to Rivers sing about the Garden of Eden and lawn chairs.
Instead of doors, you painted shut.
Yeah. Do you have anything else on this album?
No, I feel like I've said a lot about it. I feel like if you haven't listened to it yet, definitely check it out, but just kind of know what you're getting into.
Yeah.
And it's not the happiest of albums, but it is a good coping album, I'd say. If you do share some of his feelings, it's like it could help knowing there are other people going through things too. And again, that's why I think they have that appeal that they do, because they kind of help people find their way as they're trying to find their way too.
Well said. And if it feels really heavy, stick through it till the end, because the last song kind of resolves it a little bit.
It's a great album ender.
Yeah. Yeah. It takes some of the heat off the lyrics just a little bit. Made me feel better. Like, all right, he's okay. He's just really good at expressing his emotions in these songs.
Yep. You just had to get through it.
Yeah. We have our friend Nick Parco on to discuss the new season of
Season.
Weezer. Autumn is here, and Rivers wants to tell us all about it. So we're gonna throw it over to our interview with Nick, and we'll see you on the other side. All right, we now welcome back on the podcast's #1 most reoccurring guest, Rivers quomologist expert, Nick Parco. Some might say he gets off on the pain of talking about Weezer every season on this podcast. Nick, welcome back. It's so good to see you.
What's going on, guys? It's great to be back, and the getting off the pain line is crushingly accurate in this case.
Credit to Brett for that one.
The second I heard that song, I'm like, please use this as the intro.
He gets off on the pain, and what else was in here? Something about Judas. Lord have mercy on his soul.
Yeah,
We'll
we
get
have
into
a
all of it.
continuation of the religious references.
Yeah, he's really I mean, he's been religious on all of these, but for some reason it like stood out to me more on this one. There's like a lot, like talking about the Old Testament and Judas and Garden of Eden, and
It's bad. Yep.
Old Testament. There's one song where he's like, "No, the Old Testament."
No, like the band.
Yeah,
it
it's
just keeps skipping at the front. Every time that's happened, I've had to like second guess my car or my radio. I finally like understood that it's just part of the song.
And I don't get it, because if you go back in their discography, there's not too much religious stuff. There's like, You've Cleaned Up, Found Jesus is obviously the one that comes to mind.
It's a good one.
But after that, it's like I don't really recall that many Bible references.
No, I can't really think of any off the top of my head. We'd have
No.
to really scrub through all the lyrics.
I guess when he hits Control F in his spreadsheet, there's not a lot of responses.
It's in the religion
It's a
tab.
religious-based item. Yeah.
So how'd you feel about this one, Nick?
I could definitively say it's my favorite of the 3 seasons so far. The favorite of the Weezer seasons, and my second favorite actual season behind Summer. But yeah, it feels more like Ratitude and Hurley than any of their other stuff. Those are 2 albums that I kind of really like from Weezer, if we're looking at the last 15 years of what they've done.
I thought you hated Ratitude.
No, not no.
Just
If
a lot
I
of people
said that
do, I
on
guess.
past episodes, I've lied. In comparing it to their recent output, I like the Ratitude and Hurley more than White or Everything Will Be
The Black Album.
And yeah, like I feel like Ratitude and Hurley was extremely poppy, like these seasons ones have been. But yeah, they're kind of like in my wheelhouse. They're really catchy, but not too overproduced. Like I feel like has been the issue with more of the recent stuff.
Yeah, I think he found a really good balance on this of writing pop songs, but still kind of like holding on to what makes Weezer Weezer. I mean, it's definitely more poppy in like the grand scheme of Weezer, but as far as like you said, recent output, it's definitely like
And
a
I
better
think
balance.
there's a couple of duds on this, but I really like 4 or 5 of the 7 songs on this. And I
Yeah.
do hate though that if you're listening on Spotify, after these 7
Yeah.
songs, the rest of the season start playing.
Yeah,
It
why
goes
did they
right
do
into-
One
that?
very long album, which is like, I don't like that at all because I'm really not crazy about the other 2 seasons.
No, every time I finish this, I'm like, yeah, this one, they did a good job with this one. And then it's sitting on your lawn chair. I'm like, no, stop
Exactly.
it.
Yeah.
You go round
Why?
and round
It's
again.
trying to boost the numbers on Spotify. I don't, that's the only thing I can think of.
Well, I'm looking now because that's been happening to me too, but it looks like there's 2 identical SZNs, as you just pronounced them, which I'm now gonna make sure to keep
I'm gonna
doing.
use that too.
If you click one of them, it's just the 7 tracks, but if you click the other, it has 3 discs of all the seasons.
Yeah, I've made the mistake of in the last few days to prepare for this, listening to the one that has 20 something songs, 21 songs.
Yeah, same. Because you listen once and then it's on your homepage and you just keep
Yep.
re-clicking that one. But I definitely agree. This was my favorite of the bunch so far. Brett, you were nodding along before as well.
Yeah, I'm definitely in alignment. So you know how I judge Weezer now and like how many songs would I add to a Weezer playlist? I threw 5 on my ultimate Weezer playlist. So
Nice.
it's definitely I think like Parco, you said before, is far and away the best one. And I have to agree. Like even like I let it play through today, like go through summer and spring. And like they're almost unlistenable compared to this one. Like for the most part. Like spring is just like not very good. Like there's only like 2 songs that are worthy of being on a playlist, but this one it was like a majority of it, and I really like some of the different things they tried here. Especially a taste. Is it taste the
Yeah.
pain? Taste like pain.
I was just about to say that. That song is so good.
That breakdown is just. You get the classical. What's the name of that song? I wrote it down, but I probably can't pronounce it.
I'm looking over my notes now. You're talking about Taste Like Pain.
Taste like pain. There it is. Yeah. Oh, so it's ironically this is Winter from the El Inverno Concerto from the 4 Seasons by Antonio Vivaldi. Oh, I pronounced it.
Wow.
So my
That's
question is why
interesting.
I don't know why this is on autumn and not winter, but I'm glad it's here because I think it's it's definitely my favorite song of everything they put out this year.
I thought
You guys
that
think of
that's
that
the one
one?
with a bunch of violin on it, right?
And then like it
Yeah.
kicks into like all the guitars kick in at the end.
Yeah, in my notes I had it's the return of the Trans-Siberian Orchestra Corps. That's what it sounds like to me. From whichever, I think that was the first one, right? Spring had a song
That's
that
right.
sounded
Yeah.
like Trans-Siberian Orchestra.
Yes.
Yeah, that one wasn't one of my favorites, but even being not one of my favorites on this one, I still think it's better than almost every song on the other 2.
I do love me some
Yeah.
Trans-Siberian Orchestra. That's probably why I like that one.
He just really wants the Broadway thing to happen.
Did we lose Parka?
Too soon
No,
for
he's
the
there.
Did I lose you guys?
No, we're all here.
So there you go. Okay.
You know what? I want to talk about what happens after you, because the first time I heard it, I wasn't sure about it, and now I really like it. And I want to know what you guys think, because it's definitely feels like he wanted to make a radio hit, and I think he did, and I'm all about it. It's so catchy.
So I wrote like my first note on this song was generic pop Weezer song ? But then I wrote like Pat Wilson's beat here like makes this listenable enough, even though like the elongated U's throughout it that like I feel like are very common in like pop music right now.
Yeah,
Like I really don't like that, but the drums here kind of saved a little bit in my books.
yeah. I wrote down, if they're gonna lean into a poppy vibe, this is how I want them to do it. And I think as far as Poppy Weezer goes, I mean, I've said it a million times. He's so good at writing pop songs. It's just a matter of if we're gonna like them or not. But there's a reason Weezer's still on the radio after 20 plus years. And I think this one is gonna find its way to the radio. What happens after you?
I definitely think it's the most radio friendly. And the note that I wrote down while listening was that It sounds like a song from a band that just toured with Fall Out Boy.
They walk the moon.
Accurate.
It could be a Fall Out Boy song, basically. Especially the I'm not gonna sing, but what
Do
Nick's
it.
saying is that sounds like every radio Fall Out Boy hit of the past few years.
Yeah, it has that like
Very spot on.
driving, like I guess it's all drums, Brett, like you were saying. But you know what? It kind of gave me vibes of I don't actually know the name of the song, but the song that's like Do It Like We Do on the Discovery Channel.
Bloodhound Gang.
Yeah, I just feel like if you start singing "You and Me, Babe" over the beat, it fits kind of perfectly, which makes me like it a little less. But
What's that
I
called again?
still
The
like it.
Touch.
I feel like it has a name that's not
Bad,
like
the bad
indicative
Bad
of this.
Touch. There it is. Yeah.
I know it's by Bloodhound Gang.
That was a song we all heard in like elementary school. We're like, oh,
That song
what's
was
going
everywhere.
on here?
Talk about radio hits. Yeah.
That song still gets played. It's very strange.
I listen to Sirius XM in my car all the time, and that song is constantly on like
I guess 90s.
lithium, like the 90s grunge channel for some reason.
Along with a Foxtrot uniform, Charlie Kilo.
Yeah. I didn't like Can't Dance too much. Every time I started this album, it would play for like a minute and then I would just skip it.
I have a question for Parco on this one.
What's that?
So, like teasing this, Rivers had said like there were some Strokes influences on this, and you definitely get that in the middle here. So I'm curious
Yeah.
what your thoughts on the Strokes touches throughout this were.
I like Nick. I don't know why this opens the album. It's one of the weaker songs on the album, which they're pretty good at sequencing usually, going back all the way to the early albums. I didn't hear too much Strokes. I couldn't really get over the keyboard stuff in this, so I didn't exactly notice too much Strokes. One of my notes is it's just like way too keyboard heavy, in the same way that I thought that other song was way too violin heavy. The melody's cool. It's just like the content of the song is just not there for me. Like,
Yeah.
who's asking him to dance? Like, I don't. You're a nerd, dude. You're a nerd. You make music for nerds like us three. So.
Brett, I heard the Strokes. I wrote that down actually. It's just like that kind of like slightly distorted guitar, like more like crunchy raw guitar that just kind of gives you that when you like you chill on a couple notes and just go up and down. I don't know
The way he
how to
sings
exactly
too.
articulate it. Yeah.
Like he's like, I got a bad case, but he says it like how the Strokes would say it. Like right before it kicks back into how the rest of the song was.
He
It's like a
definitely
little
does.
bridge moment.
He sounds like Julian. I guess he's trying to sound like Julian Costa.
Yeah.
For sure. I remember on the past few episodes we've talked about him saying this is going to be influenced by this and so on and so forth. I hear zero influences on any of these three. They just sound like modern Weezer to me,
That's fair.
This was like the only one I heard, like, because like
which is not a great
Yep,
thing.
you're right.
I'm not saying that's a good thing, but I don't really hear. I know you said is Elliott Smith the next one?
That was I was gonna
Sure,
get to
Pella's
that.
in this
Yeah.
one, right? Okay.
Because like he's name dropped bands like for the previous two, and they sounded nothing like those bands. But I feel like this one, at least there were some hints of the Strokes, so he wasn't completely like bullshitting us. But
I mean, who hasn't tried to do the Strokes thing in the past 20 years?
like everyone has at this
What
rate.
what rock bands haven't?
They do have a good formula. So
It's true. I love Rivers' voice. I just want to throw that out there. I still love his voice.
Hell of a singer. He could.
Yeah, he just
He
hits
could
those.
complain about the production on the songs and the lyrics, and I could complain about there being too much keyboard or violin, but the dude has always been able to sing. I wonder how he keeps his voice in such good shape, seeing how they tour relentlessly.
He's a gentle singer.
it's
I don't
true.
know.
Not much
Yeah, that
yelling.
is true. That is true.
Should she stay or should she go? Needs to be like a minute longer with more saxophone on the end. Because I think the end of that is awesome, and it's just such a tease because they fade it out so quickly.
I feel like that one was like a callback to Garden of Eden from Spring. Only I guess this is them getting kicked out of the Garden of Eden. Like if he's
I
kind of singing from the perspective of Adam again, I guess.
was
I
hoping
kind of
you
tried to
would.
dig into this one like lyrically a little bit, and that's the vibe I got from it. I might be way off, but that's kind of where I
Oh,
think he was
that
going with this.
that sounds good because when he was talking about singing about the Garden of Eden, I'm like, there's got to be a connection here, but I'm gonna let Brett bring it up because Brett has figured this out on every season so far.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you surpassed the knowledge of the connection through the songs more than the two Knicks have.
Brett's deep into
I'd like to
Weezer lore.
thank Weezerpedia for some help.
I like this one. I noted more Bible stuff, so I kind of saw the connection. Those are the three words I wrote, is just more Bible stuff. I really like the drums on this one. I guess Pat's having a good album here because his shuffle is really good in the pocket, kind of a little bit more complicated than a drum beat you would hear on your average Weezer song. And a great riff too. It's just a good solid song all around. One of my favorites from this season.
That's should she stay or should she go? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That was a good one.
Question
thought
on. Go
yeah.
ahead.
I just was gonna say I thought it ended well on Run Raven Run. Thought that was a cool song. Although the lyrical content kind of lost me. Who's the Raven? Why are we running? Etc.
I think that might be my favorite song on the record.
I feel like it was very like it was kind of like a Only in Dreams greatest man that ever
Yes.
lived.
Yes,
Yeah.
it is. I wrote down it's the
Yep.
ending sounds like Only in Dreams, which I'm always going to love a song that sounds anything like Only in Dreams.
/ Return to Ithaca off Everything Will Be
Yes.
All Right.
Yeah.
He just loves that like really like Tony solo in like the key of B. Because I picked up my guitar. I'm like, I have to see where this is because it sounds like the other ones. And it's exactly in that same like
Just a
spot on the
steady
guitar.
climb. Yeah.
We got to
Yeah,
string them
I
all
love
together.
this one so much that the lyrics, yes, not great, but the music is so good in it that I'll
Yeah.
allow it. And it's one of my two favorites on this. I did know maybe the Raven is Lamar Jackson when he's about to get sacked.
That must be it. That's the only logical answer.
That's what it's either that or Edgar Allan Poe, maybe.
Yeah.
Know.
And I love the ending with like that like ominous bell noise, and then there's just like a crowing. I would love
that
if
there's an exclamation for.
I would bet the opener of the next one will be connected.
Yeah.
oh
Especially seeing what Spotify's done to the record. So it'll just be when we listen to the next one and we start in the beginning and you hear all four of them, it'll seamlessly transition into the next EP.
except the way this 3-disc collection is organized, it's starting on autumn, but shouldn't
It should not.
it-
No, it should be starting with spring.
yeah, it would start with opening night, which would make sense, and then go through.
Which they never got to play on the opening night of the Broadway stuff.
Have we talked about that yet, or does that happen?
I think that was
between
just us.
episodes? That happened between episodes, I think, but the Broadway play did not happen. It's very sad.
To me,
Or
what was
is it?
sad was it seemed like the ticket prices were out of their control, which I always kind of raise my eyebrows when a band says that. But when it's Broadway related, I feel like bands probably have more of a leg to stand on. Like they probably didn't actually have control because it's such a small venue. They were playing like a 300 or 400 person theater, or something way smaller than any room they've played in probably since the Blue Album came out. So, but when they had to explain in a press release that it was because of low ticket sales, it has to be demoralizing.
Yeah, that's rough.
I can't believe they came out and said that. Like I would have like made up like literally
Yeah,
anything
just
else.
say you have COVID. Hello.
Well, they said that, but then they noted like, a large part of that is because of the ticket prices. And it's like, well, you didn't think playing in Broadway in New York City would be like arguably the most expensive place
Yeah.
for fans to come
Yeah.
see you? A
Did
band
you
that
look at
plays-
Did you
summer
look at
tours in front of 20,000 people, and then you're gonna play a 500-person venue, and you don't think the ticket price is gonna be insane?
what were ticket prices like? Did you guys see? I didn't.
I didn't even look.
I
Like
didn't
most
look.
Broadway shows, like the cheapest seat is like $200,
Yeah, and
and the good seats were as if you're going to see, not like a Hamilton, but
yeah,
as if you're
like
going to see like a,
Book of Mormon.
yeah, one of those probably. I'm not a Broadway guy, but my wife is, and we go to shows every now and then, and shit's not cheap.
Yeah.
No.
It's not, but that's a known thing, so that's why I was kind of like, well, you're complaining about the ticket prices and you had no control over them, but you've toured everywhere for a really long time. You have to kind of know how this works at this point, right?
Yeah,
It's
you
like
gotta have an idea.
like the Springsteen debacle, where Springsteen's like, it's Ticketmaster, and it's like, not really, dude.
Yeah, we know you have some
Toured for
control.
50 years, like, and you're the most famous musician on the planet. I'm sure you could be like, hey, Ticketmaster, let's lower the prices a little bit.
Yeah.
But good on Ticketmaster, because they just like, they'll be like, yeah, you can blame us. You're still gonna buy tickets, so we don't care.
I will always blame Ticketmaster. I'm fine with that.
Pearl Jam had the right idea in the early 90s.
They're always right about that.
Yep. Even though I'm pretty sure you could, like, they played at the Garden recently, Pearl Jam,
Yeah.
and I'm pretty sure you could buy tickets on Live Nation or Ticketmaster.
I think they should.
Outside of their fan club, which I know was like one of the biggest fan clubs around.
Yeah. And
The
they shut
issue
down the
is-
resale market for their shows. Because I was like trying to find
Oh.
tickets for their Philly show, and there was nothing. They completely blocked it off.
Good for them.
The issue with a lot of it too is they're Live Nation venues. I don't know if that applies to MSG, but it's like you don't want to use Live Nation, then you can't play at that venue.
MSG
So
is
it's
not, but like PNC is, where us
Yeah.
go to shows all the time.
Yeah.
yeah, so it's bigger than just don't put your tickets on Ticketmaster. Like it's not always that simple, but yeah, Broadway's an entirely different monster. They probably should have planned that out a little better. I still think it would be really cool to see these acted out, and I think it would make
I
a lot
bet
of the
they
songs
will.
better.
I bet they're gonna do like 4 nights at a small venue in LA, and then 4 nights in Chicago and 4 nights in New York, or something along those, or 1 night playing all 4 of them. But I bet it'll come back in some form. I feel like that was a large part of the idea to begin with, was them being able to play them all together.
Yeah, and can't they
Like, why
do
would it
them
be so
like
heavily themed if they didn't plan on doing something like that?
like I saw like Flaming Lips a long time ago at I think it was Terminal 5, and they essentially put on a Broadway play on that stage. Like you don't really need to be on Broadway to like do all the shenanigans, right?
I don't
I'm
think
shaking,
so.
I'm shaking my head at Terminal 5, not at the Flaming Lips, by the way.
Not a fan.
No, it's definitely my least favorite, and I know a ton of people who also don't like Terminal 5.
Yeah, it's like
the
slightly
middle
too
of
big to be a
nowhere.
club. But
It's just in the
the-
middle of nowhere. It's next to,
Yeah,
like,
it's a pain. My cousin's seeing 311 there, I think this weekend or tonight, and they're playing their first album in full. He's very excited.
He's
He's a
all
huge-
mixed up.
He's a huge fan. Yeah. It's gonna be a
The
beautiful
next-
disaster, I'm sure.
I saw a pup there a few months ago, and I'm seeing Modest Mouse there in December.
Oh,
which is
you're
gonna be
going?
awesome.
Lonesome
Oh,
Crowded
yeah.
West tour.
Yep. So they're my wife's
Oh, I'm jealous.
favorite band. So we are going. I love them too, but like my wife, if they're in town, we're seeing them wherever they play, including Terminal 5.
That's gonna be an
Nice.
incredible show, though.
Hopefully.
The coolest thing I saw is that it's only gonna be four people in the band. So it's gonna be Isaac Brock and 3 other people, which
Oh wow.
if you've ever seen them,
There's like
they
12
come out
people.
like Arcade
Yeah.
Fire. It's like 50 people. And I've seen them multiple times, and it's always been with like 4 guitarists and 2 drummers, and this is gonna be a whole different experience.
Yeah, that's gonna be cool. I wish it wasn't so close to Christmas because that's like a tough date to set aside.
Yeah.
They recently added a second date that's not sold out.
Maybe it's a weekday. If it was a weekday, I would go. A Saturday. That's rough.
Maybe Weezer should play Terminal 5 and do this. I still feel like they're gonna have to do some kind of themed concert in a few cities around these EPs.
Yeah, like you said, like this was the ideal all along. Like it would be
Yeah.
a shame if they didn't. And I feel like they're big enough and successful enough that like, I don't know, just do it. Like what? You take a little bit of a loss, worst case scenario. I don't know.
I mean,
Artistic
just because they couldn't sell really expensive tickets, like if they played Terminal 5, it would sell out like instantly. At least I would think. I've seen them at small places before. I saw them at Hammerstein Ballroom, or no, at Roseland Ballroom when I was in college. Rest in peace, Roseland Ballroom. And I'm telling you, I had to like call Ticketmaster to get tickets because online it just kept crashing. Like if they were to play a small venue in New York, it would sell out instantly, even if it was heavy on their new stuff. Like they're just that big of a band.
Yeah. I have an idea on how they can do Broadway. They give Ja Rule a non-speaking part, and then 50 Cent will buy out the first like 20 rows. Boom.
Solved.
Yeah. Someone
Or
let
maybe they
Rivers
could
know.
do like the Shakespeare in the Park thing in Central Park.
Oh, that sounds right up
That'd be
his alley.
cool.
River prancing around the park in like a centaur costume.
Dressed like they are in their Spotify header.
He's been on
Like
a
Dave
tear.
Matthews play like Central Park all the time.
Yeah.
Or used to, at
There's
least.
concerts there a lot, but there's also like Shakespeare in the Park, which is like people sit on the grass and like they do it like Hamlet or something like that. I could totally see Rivers wanting to do that.
Oh, that would be amazing. And they could just like disguise it so people passerbys just think it's Shakespeare in the Park, but like the fans know. Have you been following him on social media? He's been on a tear on Instagram. He posted something the other day. It was some sort of like meme he was getting at, but it was just his face staring at the camera for like a minute.
I saw the George Costanza. It's soup season.
That was great.
Yeah, point of view when you feel Rihanna, Lana, and Nirvana all at once, and it's him playing his record song, and then he spliced in all those other bands into it, and it's just him
Oh,
staring
I
silently.
did hear that.
He's just standing there.
The Nirvana part is so bad, and whatever remix that is.
My favorite is like, obviously he gets so many comments, and I gotta imagine he goes through them a little bit. But some are just like, Rivers, what are you doing? He's got to be a little self-aware, but
I'm sure he is.
He is so online. It's he made a Weezer. Do you guys know what Hurdle is? It's like Wordle, but for songs.
There's like a Weezer
What?
one, right?
That
He
sounds
made
awesome.
Weasel, which is a
That was
different
a Weasel.
song every day. I think it's called Weasel.
I hope it's called Weasel. That's an amazing name.
Hurdle is very fun. It's way better than Wordle. You guys would like it.
I didn't know that existed. I'm definitely gonna start doing that.
Like
You have
partnered
to
with
listen to
Spotify
a
now, right?
song, or
Mhm.
you listen and then just guess
Well,
as fast as you
it gives
can, or-
you the first snippet is like a second and a half of the song.
Oh, it's like that game show. Isn't there like a show on Channel 5 or something that kind of does that?
The Beat Shazam or something.
Yeah, I saw a glimpse of it in like a doctor's office once, and they play like one note, and then people have to guess the song. It's pretty cool. I liked it.
Hurdle's fun. Sometimes I'm really not great with like current top 40 stuff. So if it's like a whole
true.
song, I'll have no idea. And more often than not, it's that
That's
kind
top
of
40.
But yeah, they're not doing like maladroit deep cuts on Hurdle.
No, you got to go to Weasel for that. I mean, they definitely have enough songs to do over like a year of Weasel.
I know a couple bands that do it.
Gotta be close.
I've seen a couple different band versions of it, and yeah, they end in like a month or 2 months.
Yeah.
And Weezer's could definitely last for a while.
Weasel.
Between things like Death to False Metal, as Brett.
As I called out before.
I like that one, man. It's top heavy. Like the first 3 or 4 are really good on Death to False Metal. I just hate the album art for it, and also don't understand. But he loves metal. He started off in a metal band, so I guess that's what he's getting out of the title.
Van Weezer.
Speaking of Van Halen, I saw a video. I think they shared it of Pat talking about his favorite records, and he said Van Halen was his.
Van Halen 1.
Yeah, and I actually listened to a different music podcast, and he was on it because they were talking about Van Halen 1. He said it was his favorite record, which is so interesting.
It is a classic, though. That was one of the first albums I got really into.
I mean, yeah, I'm not a huge Van Halen person, but yeah, you can't deny how great that is. It's just so interesting that Pat Wilson is a diehard like hair metal fan, and this is the kind of band you got into. And I mean, you listen to the Blue album, they like even the early stuff. It's like they were all listening to metal though, because Rivers is also a huge metalhead.
Yeah, as portrayed in Heart Songs, takes you through his whole.
Love that
His whole
song.
Love that
history.
song,
Yeah,
though.
me too.
Songs.
Me too. It's such like a meta song, but the first time I heard it, I was like, "Oh, these are all the
I've
bands
only
that
seen
influenced
them-
him." It's amazing.
I've seen them play that song once in the, dozen times, a little bit more than a dozen times I've seen them. I only saw them do it once, and they opened with it, and it was awesome.
Wow.
Had to be awesome.
So
And
there's
I've
no
never
tour.
seen them play The Greatest Man That Ever Lived. And did you guys see they played a show a couple weeks ago in LA?
No.
They played the Troubadour, which is probably like a Terminal 5, if not smaller. But they played as Goat Punishment, which is like a secret band they've always kind of had in the real early days. Him and Pat thought of that name. And they played Greatest Band That Ever Lived for the first time in a very long time. Obviously, I could see why they don't play that song that much live, because it's kind of annoying to play for the band and for Rivers to sing, I imagine.
It's a lot of work for sure.
Oh, they played it at Firefly last week.
Damn it. 'Cause I saw the set list for the Goat Punishment show, and in parentheses on setlist.fm it said the first time they played it live since like 2013 or 2012.
I guess they brought it back out a couple shows later.
They must have fun.
That is a rough festival song. I mean, I saw them at a festival earlier this year, and they played just every hit song of theirs, and it was a perfect festival set list. I cannot imagine what the people at Firefly who aren't diehard Weezer fans, which is probably a large portion. I mean, I guess they headlined one night, but I'm sure they had a semi-pop act also headline, and those poor souls witnessing Greatest Band for the not knowing what they were getting themselves into.
And they went right into a cover of Teenage Dirtbag right after that.
They're a great festival band. They're like,
They're excellent.
yeah.
And the Teenage Dirtbag thing, I never saw them cover that, but I remember in the early 2000s around like Napster, they consistently covered that because so many people on all those Napster, BearShare, LimeWire things, so many people had that listed as a Weezer song, and you would download Teenage Dirtbag by Weezer because everyone on the internet thought it was Weezer. Everyone who was stupid and not paying attention on those file sharing programs thought it was Weezer. So they used to cover that a lot just as a joke. So that's cool that they're bringing it back.
But they don't even sound like Wheatus. Or Wheatus doesn't sound like Weezer, I should say.
Yeah, the singer, I don't know the
It's a
guy.
similar name.
This.
The
But
name, I
yeah,
think.
yeah,
so,
I guess
but
the name
yeah.
is similar.
gotta be what it is.
I mean, I could see Weezer writing a song that sounds a lot like that.
Yeah. Just not as high pitched with the vocals.
Those were the best though. Those songs that just were wrong. Like I had like Flagpole Sitta as a Green Day song for like way too long in my life. It's like, yeah, sure. Yeah, that adds up.
Or like Blink was
Lit.
like, yeah.
Yeah.
And then you'd always get like the Bill Clinton, I did not have sexual relations with that woman in the you would download a song and then it would just be that happened multiple times. I do miss those days though, because I don't think if you downloaded Autumn by Weezer on LimeWire, it would be all the other goddamn songs that they've released this year after it, like Spotify does.
Feed the algorithm. They're playing the game. Think of all the extra plays they got on that one.
No, it's
song.
definitely smart. It is. And I do miss those days of like having an iPod.
Yeah, the
and-
Wild West.
Picking up a CD.
Yeah, that was the best. I mean, yeah, CDs, the cassettes. I mean, we're a little too young for cassettes.
Yeah.
But I do miss having, like, I kind of hate that, like, my phone dies because I just listen to music all the time. Kind of liked having a separate thing. I do miss the days.
It
of
was
that.
nice.
If Spotify just sold like a Spotify machine, I think I might be down to just like
I would absolutely.
They have a car
for
one,
that.
I think, right?
I've definitely gotten ads about some. I think it's if you don't have Apple CarPlay in your car
Oh, they can like build it
or whatever
into
the
the
Android version it is.
Yeah, it's like a GPS thing you kind of put on your dash. It just sits there.
yeah, that's
Yeah,
kind of
I
cool.
say we bring back iPods. Vinyl records have been back for years now. We need to bring back iPods. I miss my black and red autographed U2 iPod.
If we're gonna bring back iPods, Apple needs to like revamp their music organization platforms because trying to organize songs in iTunes and then getting them to show up on your iPod the proper way in the proper albums is a headache that I do not miss. I don't know if you guys
That's
had to deal
fair.
with that, especially
I'd
downloading
like rename
music.
the songs.
Yeah, and you have to like rename like these parts of the file that you can't even see just so the album would be in the correct order.
I'd be adding
Yeah.
album art to everything. I was
Yeah.
so anal about all that stuff.
Yeah, but there was always one song that would just insist on like being its own album. I miss it a little, but
Spotify
Yeah.
should just create an iPod with a screen that's just you log into Spotify and play music on it. But it doesn't have to be.
I'd be all for that. And
Free
then you could
idea.
download onto that like the songs you want to listen to offline.
Yeah, because I even have trouble. Like I'm flying somewhere tomorrow, and earlier today I was like, how do I download stuff on Spotify so that I'm not just like screwed while I'm on the plane and can't listen to anything.
Just a little arrow on your phone. Just tap that and you'll be all good to go.
But finding what I already had downloaded was kind of annoying. It was harder than you would think.
You have to
yeah,
really search for it.
Yeah.
there might be a playlist for downloaded songs or you have to create it yourself, but I think there's some sort of like filter you can put in to see. But yeah, I have like the same couple albums I forgot I downloaded that just become like my no internet albums. So
You
yeah,
guys-
when's
You guys want to get back to autumn?
I was gonna ask when the next when's winter?
December 22nd.
December.
Oh, you
20
had that lined up.
That is so late, I feel like. Is that a
They've been-
longer gap than the other albums have been?
I think so.
Or is it the same? I mean, I'm not an astrologer, so
It's
I don't-
on all the solstices.
I don't know. The time just flies when you're waiting for new Weezer EPs. It feels like it's been no
It did.
time.
It was
at
a
all.
fast summer. I feel like you were just on Parco.
Summer, yeah, that's what I'm saying. This gap has to be long. December.
You got 1, 2, 3 months. Yeah.
I wasn't on the
Math.
stream summer, was I? Actually, yeah, it probably was. It has to be around the same amount of time.
Oh, every 3 months.
Yeah, we're really breaking down the seasons here. Every 3 months. Then it'd have to be every 3, yeah.
But winter is out
3
there
times
already.
4.
Like, they played winter the whole thing at that Troubadour show.
Oh,
And
So,
they played,
It
and I
exists.
saw they encored 2 songs that they had played earlier in the night that no one had ever heard before. That's what they closed the show with. They played the songs twice.
I'd be so pissed.
good for them. That's probably why the weather got cooler because Weezer played winter earlier and then the seasons were just like, oh shit, we got to catch up.
You know what
Rivers
I
controls
want
the weather.
on winter? I want a season. I want a Weezer cover of Chris Cornell's Seasons. That's what I want. They should. They
That
should.
is a
have-
great song.
Would you put it past him to do like the next TL album to be like covers of songs with season in the title or something so ridiculous? Like
That would be funny. Like Seasons of Weather by Aerosmith.
Yeah, Seasons of Love from Rent, going back to the the Broadway stuff.
Some 4 seasons.
There's a Maroon 5 seasons that probably wouldn't sound too
Oh,
different from
oh.
Weezer.
Now we're talking topical. We want to get to Maroon 5.
Oh yeah, sorry. We don't.
I don't know if you guys have a news section that you're gonna save that for.
I thought about it, but I'm
Consider that
just tired
documented.
of hearing about it, so I almost didn't even want to talk about it.
I'm just laughing at Parco's memes about it. Like Aaron
Yeah.
Judge since the All-Star break, and it's the text message exchange.
Not so much for Aaron Judge in the last 2 weeks or 1 week.
Yeah, I think he's homered since you tweeted that, but it's okay.
Exactly. If you see me peeking over, by the way, a lot, it's because I have the game on and I'm looking over when he's up.
Well, we can let you go and watch the game. But we're very excited for winter. And hopefully Weezer tours. Maybe we could do a group trip to a Weezer show.
A live backstage episode with Rivers.
Yes. Only if he dresses up as a
Oh.
centaur.
As Judas.
with the elf ears. I still think they need to bring Matt Sharp back and he could act as Judas. That could be his entrance back into Weezer.
That would be cool. That would be really
Before
cool.
before you go, Parco, I believe you wanted to pitch us on our next Evergreen episode.
The evergreen idea, we need to do the best freshman and sophomore album runs. I don't know if we want to put a timeline on it, like 90s. I imagine we do, because it would be
In our lifetimes.
Yeah, it would be really, really hard if we included like 70s and 80s bands. But I will
The
definitely
Zeppelin one and
return
two.
for like a 5-hour episode of doing that. That stuff is right in my wheelhouse.
And it's
That's-
Weezer related too, because they definitely fall under that category.
It would probably
yeah.
be a top pick, I imagine.
Yeah, that's a great idea. I like that. My mind's already racing right now. So many.
I have in the notes app in my iPhone, I have like 15 bands because me and Brett have talked about this for like the past few months. So I have a long list. It's like I'm like preparing for a fantasy draft.
Which it pretty much is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, next draft. We'll do that.
It's
Great
booked.
idea. Nice. Well, thank you as always, Nick.
Of
Always a
course. I
pleasure.
look forward to coming back for Brett. Do we know what the next one is going to be allegedly inspired by, even though all of them have just sounded like Weezer?
It's Elliott Smith. It's the next one.
Acoustic.
That'll be the day that we get a full-on acoustic Weezer track. They haven't done that in probably since Hurley, I think.
Do we
If-
think
oh,
it'll be
wow.
good though if it's fully acoustic?
Well, going back to him being a good singer, I'm always down for
That's true.
something that mostly leans on his vocals and an acoustic guitar. The last
Cut
one
out the pop.
There'll probably be strings. I would think if he's doing acoustic,
God.
there's going to
Yeah,
be
no,
strings.
There's been a lot of strings on this so far. So
Definitely. Hopefully he does like some weird guitar tunings like Elliott Smith used to do. That would be cool. He won't, but that would be cool if he did.
Well, maybe he'll hear this and take the challenge, even though
We've
songs
gone
are
over
already
how
ready.
online he is, so maybe he will see this.
Hi Rivers, we love you. Sometimes.
all comes from a place of love.
Yeah,
Does.
we're all pretty obsessed. So yeah.
All right, Nick. Well, we'll see you at the next draft episode, but we will also see you on December 22nd for Christmas /
forward to
Weezer
it.
episode.
Looking
Christmas
forward to it.
Weezer.
Thanks again,
Thanks, Nick.
Thanks,
Later.
Marco.
guys.
And we're back. If you're just joining us, that's kind of weird because there's a podcast, so I don't know why you would start it at the halfway point.
Skipping over your seasons.
But if you're just joining us, we had a lovely chat with Nick Parco, our resident Weezer expert. And now we're going to get into some news, some festivals, some concerts. I guess this is a festival.
Yeah,
Did you-
I think so.
Yeah, so the Front Bottoms announced their annual Champagne Jam, which they've been doing for 5 or 6 years at this point, feels like.
It's always in Philly, right?
No, it was in New York once.
Well, that's right. I remember that one.
Yeah, I had the flu. This was pre-COVID days. It was just a normal sickness, but I had to miss it, which was pretty disappointing. I remember Tiny Moving Parts was there too. I was very excited. But
Like me with a day to remember.
yeah, sometimes it just happens. You gotta miss shows, or you gotta go to the show with the less awesome set list. Move on. Stop talking about it. But
Yeah,
yeah,
got some good jams in there though.
oh yeah. They're playing at the Fillmore in Philly on December 16th and 17th. which I think that December 16th is the same day Taking Back Sunday's doing their holiday show with Foxing.
And the same day as Modest Mouse.
Oh, damn. Yeah,
The
Modest.
17th is the same day.
Yeah, yeah. It's a busy weekend. Friday is a date that is more feasible. So I'm not ruling this out yet. But I also really want to go to that Taking Back Sunday show. And Starland's a little bit easier than Philly.
Who's
But-
opening for them on that one? For Taking Back Sunday.
Boxing.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's kind of why like two bands I really like, even though like Boxing's latest album I didn't like love a whole
I was
ton.
going to
but
ask because that was before we started the podcast when they put that one out.
yeah, it was a little slow for me, but they're so good live that I don't doubt it wouldn't be awesome. And they put on a really good live show. But yeah, this Champagne Jam has, so I'm just gonna read some of the ones I recognize because I don't recognize a lot on this. I don't know if you have it open too, but Joyce Manor's playing, which is awesome.
Very good.
Like Front Bottoms and them alone is worth it. I don't really recognize any other bands on this Friday. You have Emperor X, Lunar Vacation, Sloth Thrust, Another Michael, Sweet Pill, and Flycatcher. Flycatcher, I think, was Blink's like very, very first album. Oh no, Fly Swatter. So never mind. I take it back. And DJ Spicy Brown. How could I forget? See, I don't really recognize any of those, but the Front Bottoms and Joyce Manor alone would be good. And then
Is that
you
last
just-
one just a bottle of mustard?
probably.
Spicy brown?
Yeah. Yeah. I think they just put a bottle of mustard in front of a turntable.
Just spins around on it.
Yeah. What's the mustard brand? Like Hellman's or something?
Has the red label.
Yeah.
Golden? No,
Hellman?
maybe.
I don't know. I'm not up to date on mustard. Heinz? I'm sure
You're the
Heinz
first
makes
one ever typing in mustard brand into Google.
I'm sure Heinz makes a mustard, but that's not the brand I'm thinking of.
Golden's. I was close.
Golden.
With a U though. I don't know.
Oh, could have seen that coming. Yeah, I'm more of a wasabi guy anyway, but I would listen, like if I was gonna go to this, I would listen to these bands because that's the fun of going to a show like this.
Yep.
And then I'm sure a couple are gonna click. Like if Front Bottoms are putting them on tour with them, they got to be like in the same wheelhouse. And then Saturday you have Titus Andronicus, which Nick Parco told us about or told me about. You knew about them,
You
but
told me too.
yeah. So that they're good. Prince Daddy and the Hyena, who we already know we like from when we started this podcast. I think they were like in the second or third episode when that album came out. And Kevin Devine is playing that day too. So that's
Yeah,
pretty awesome.
Day 2 is pretty loaded.
Yeah. And then the names I don't know: Soul Glow, Kid Sister, Hotline TNT, River Bee, Tom May, Shane Henderson, and
Tom May of the
Shannon Moser.
Menzingers.
Yes. Yeah, I meant to tell you that too. Because that my friend pointed that one out to me. So
I didn't realize he did solo stuff too. I know Greg does.
yeah, so Saturday sounds pretty awesome. But it's a kind of a hike for us. But I just love that they put these on. And I don't know if it's ever been 2 days before.
I feel like it used to be one, right?
Yeah. And they have the stages split up. One's the Fillmore, one's Foundry, and one's Brooklyn Bowl. So that's kind of cool.
So is there a
Yeah.
Brooklyn Bowl in Philly?
No,
Or this is all spread out in different
it's just
Spaces?
spread out throughout the Fillmore. I guess they have
different like rooms?
yeah, well, the picture they posted shows the Fillmore, and then there's a building in the middle called Foundry and a building to the right called Brooklyn Bowl, and they're all connected. So maybe there is. I didn't know if this was just for the art or if that's actually how it is. We'd have to check with one of our Philly friends. I'll ask Craig. He knows. Actually, Craig was telling me, shout out Craig Dudek, what up? They're doing this thing at the Fillmore where you can basically just buy like a season pass for concerts for the rest of the year. It's like he didn't say a price, but it's got to be worth it. I think it might even be through Live Nation, but basically you pay X amount and then you can just go to any shows there.
That's a pretty
Which-
cool perk.
Yeah. If you live close enough, like that's a great idea. Cause I think Starland does something like that too. But
I know PNC does for their summer shows. They have like the lawn pass.
it's a great idea. It's just I'm sure you have to commit to that before you really know who's playing.
Which is
In
a
most
risk,
cases,
but sometimes it
yeah.
pays off.
Yeah. Yeah, I wonder if this would be included in that, or if it's kind of like a festival, like a pseudo festival. So
I
I
think
could
it should
see
be
that.
included though.
Yeah, and tickets are like $45, which is awesome.
Unheard of now.
Yeah, yeah, we'll get to Phish in a little bit, but theirs are not $45.
They are not.
No, we'll get to it, but
Okay.
damn. Actually, we could just get to it because I don't have much else to say on this except I wish I can go, and
It's on the maybe
maybe I
list.
will. Yeah. Yeah. It's looking like that Friday I'll be going to a show. It's a matter of which one. But we'll see. December is always crazy, and it's a little more holidays and family than concerts. So
But speaking of December holidays,
yes. The glorious, wonderful time between Christmas and New Year's when Phish comes to the garden and graces the city with their funky, delicious, amazing, crunchy jams for 4 days has finally been announced. Me and Brett are going. Very excited. We don't know what day or if we're even actually going yet.
or if we're going to be called in that lottery.
Oh, we're going. But yeah, we went in on the Phish lottery. So you basically just pick how many tickets, pick what day or days you want to go, put your credit card in, and then you just refresh your credit card statement obsessively for the next week to see if you get any pending charges, because that means you got some tickets.
Oh,
And
so they don't
eventually-
email you? You have to just check your statement?
No, you'll get an email, but if you want to know before the email, you can just keep checking your statement to see if there's pending charge from Live Phish.
What a process. I had no idea it was like this, but now I'm like excited and stressed at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's why I was like
It's-
filling it out and like messaging you like step by step through the form. I was like, what do I do here? How about here?
Yeah.
Where
It's
which are seats? Are seats reserved or are they general admission? Well, I know
Yep.
general admission's obviously not seats, but
yeah. Yeah, I just went with best available because I figured
yeah, that's what I did.
like if I'm tossing up between seats, good seats, bad seats, or the floor, like you might as well throw the floor into that mix.
Yeah. Prices
Um,
were a little scary, but I'm imagining I'm not going to get called for 2 nights. But even if I do, I'd make that money back.
yeah, you can definitely sell them. It's kind of what I'm at. It was scary. I put in 2 for every day. So Nicole, earmuffs if you're listening, but that came out to like $1,000.
It was like $579 for me for 2.
The odds of getting all these tickets are very, very low. And
That's why I asked you.
we'll see what
In
happens.
6
but,
years, you've only got lottery tickets once.
Twice.
Okay.
Yeah,
So that's a 33% chance.
something
got-
like
we got
that.
the-
It depends
Both
how
of
many.
us. So
Yeah. Yeah, it's a process. And then if you don't get them, you have to play the Ticketmaster game. And then if you don't get those, you're just at the mercy of the resale market, which at this point is just also Ticketmaster. So who knows? But
so walk me through you miss out in the lottery. What happens?
all right, you miss out on the lottery, and then they'll be like, all right, tickets are going on sale to the general public Friday at 10 o'clock. And then it's just like any other concert you've tried to buy tickets for. You get on your computer, your phone, well, get on your computer and your phone, but turn your phone off Wi-Fi so it's not the same connection. Because if it's the same Wi-Fi, it I think it counts it as one. I'm not sure if that's true. It might just be by device rather, but either way, just do it to be safe. And then you just get in line and then you wait, and then Ticketmaster lets you in to buy tickets, and then Ticketmaster's like, oh, there was an error, and then it kicks you out, and you try and get in line
So
again.
it's just like any other show.
Yep.
Well, hopefully the odds bounce our way.
Yeah, between the
Hoping
two
as
of
a
us should
first
be
time
okay.
attempter, I'm hoping
Yeah,
I get one of those nights thrown our way.
you'll get a miracle. That would be nice. Yeah, those tickets are expensive, and it sucks because they've been going up like, just say like $5 to $7 a year for like a long time now.
They're normally not that expensive.
This year they're $27 more than usual. Like, come on. I know like there's inflation, yada yada, but
So normally they're
it's
like
just
120
yeah,
or like 110,
yeah, somewhere
There
in
we go,
there.
yeah.
Now they're
145.
yeah. It it sucks because it's fun to go to multiple shows, but like they're pricing a lot of their fans out. And I don't know, we kind of talked about it with Parco, like how much is on the band, how much is on the venue. Obviously, they got to make money, and they're having no issue selling tickets. But I don't know. It just like it kind of a bummer when like greed worms its way into like your favorite stuff, because you don't want to think of the band as bad guys, and I don't. I would never, but it does just put a little bit of like a sour taste in your mouth.
Yeah.
But
But I mean, at
We-
least like with paying that price, you're pretty much know if they do come through, you're gonna have an awesome seat or
yeah,
be in an awesome location.
yeah, and
I'll
you're
give them that, but
and this isn't all their shows. Like this is
it's 'cause it's a
Phish
New Year's
during
show.
New Year's Eve at Madison Square Garden. So like I get like it's a bit of a premium, and we don't have to travel. You know how many fans travel across the country for these guys? And now they have to travel, they have to fly to New York, they have to get hotels in New York. Like we got it easy.
Yeah, it's
So
very true. We're just paying for the show.
yeah, yeah, and like a train ticket. It's easy. So yeah, we'll see what happens. We'll know by next episode how we did.
Yeah, October 3rd, right? They go through.
Yeah, Monday. I want to talk about one other thing that I saw on Instagram today. Um, I talked about Billy Strings last week, who I saw at See Here Now, and I saw him put up an Instagram, and it was just like him talking into the camera, smoking a joint. He's always smoking a joint. Um, and he's talked about how lately when he travels at any airport he goes to, he gets met by like all these fans asking him to sign stuff. And he said these people are coming up to him with like 50 posters. He's like, people come up to me with posters, vinyl, drumsticks. He's like, I don't even play the drums, or the band doesn't even have a drummer. And he's like, and they expect me to sign like 100 posters. And he's like, all these people, as it turns out, are just like putting them on eBay to sell.
Yeah.
And he said, people call the airlines and say they're him to find out what like gate he's flying into on what flight. And then they just go there to try and get him to sign all this stuff. And he's like, I can't do it anymore. He's like, he's like, I have no problem doing stuff for real fans, but if you're just trying to like make money, and he's like, I've hustled. He's like, I've done what I got to do to make money too in my life. But he's like, I really, and he seemed like genuinely like conflicted about this, but he's like, what am I supposed to do? Like have them open up Spotify and show me that they listen to me? Like, he's like, so I'm just not signing stuff. Like, I guess just at like airports. Like, I bet if you see him at a show, but
Might be a little different.
it's just such a weird thing. And I know it happens in sports too, with like grown men trying to get like baseballs and stuff. And it's just like, it was kind of like sad to hear. And he said, he's like, if you're a fan, he's like, I'll chat with you. He's like, I'll sing you a song. He's like, I'll call your mom and tell her happy birthday. Like he was real cool about it, but he just is tired of like basically just being like taken advantage of, which is just, it's wild because like they're doing really well. They're a successful band, but like they're not like that big. Like people are calling
Yeah.
up airlines and like stalking you out. Like that's
That's pretty crazy.
yeah, wild. And he says he's like it happens in New York, Seattle. He's like anywhere, and it's when I take off. It's when I land. Like that's so bizarre.
That's like a thing that happened today with like Mike Trout, where he was like getting crap on like Twitter because he walked by kids outside a hotel asking for his autograph. It's like he's leaving his hotel to like get on a bus to like fly to the next city they're going to. Like you can't
Yeah.
get mad at him then. You gotta like
No.
you can't bother people at hotels or airports. Like if you're at like a game or you're at a concert, their
Yeah.
concert, it's one thing, but like these people have lives too. Like leave them alone.
Yeah. And like I don't blame the kid for like if he sees him and like tries, but I also don't think you should like get like upset about it. Like be disappointed, whatever, but like don't like let it ruin like one of your favorite players. Like you have to understand that they're people and
Yeah. Got
yeah,
their own
it's just
crap going on.
yeah. Yeah, people stop us all the time. They're like, you guys
Oh
have that
yeah.
podcast. Can you sign my
My
ticket
microphone.
stub? My microphone. No. But yeah, I just thought that was crazy. I guess it's not surprising that that happens, but I never really thought about it, about
No,
artists. Do we have anything going on next week?
we have new Slipknot, which
Oh,
so their guitarist
nice.
did a terrible job of selling it the other day. So I'm not sure what to expect. I'm hoping it's good. It should be good. They usually don't disappoint, but
Wait, how did he not sell it?
so Jim Root, he did like an interview. I forgot who it was with. He's basically like they were working with like this producer they wanted to work with for a while, but like COVID happened when they were recording all this. So it kind of messed up like them being all together, and it was kind of like a scattered process of making this. And he's like, at the end of the day, like I'm not we all kind of walked away like thinking which they could have did this differently or tweak there or but then he's like again, if you sit on something a long time, you'll find things you want to tweak. So he's like, I think it's still an awesome Slipknot record, but I'm not sure it's basically he's not sure it could have been the best album it could have been.
I know where I totally understand where he's coming from, but maybe just don't say that.
Don't say that when you're promoting the new album.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah,
if you
just-
type in like his name, like it's every article is like he down like it's has that quote in it. They like blew up a little bit, but
Well, maybe he's just lowering expectations and it'll work out for them for the better.
hopefully. I mean, they were a band that I don't think has any misses to date, but now I'm a little nervous they're gonna miss here.
They're pretty good at doing what they do.
Yeah,
I'm excited to talk about it though, because any excuse to like read the lyrics, because usually I'm not like hearing them very well when I listen to Slipknot, but
yeah, that's
They-
definitely me too.
their lyrics are solid. Like when you actually like look at what they're saying. So it should be fun to kind of deep dive it. And we haven't had anything like super heavy in a while.
No, we're due for one.
Yeah. Nice. Bring it on.
I'm ready.
Yeah. All right. I guess that'll do it for this week. We love you all. Yeah, subscribe, do all that. We're on YouTube too. If you want to go over there and throw a thumbs up, we'd appreciate it. We love you guys.
What's your feet and drive it to